Hi guys, my name's Seb Shooter. I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to talk about kind of something that goes off on a tangent from a recent news story. But we had the whole thing with James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, being fired by Disney over tweets that he made like 10 years ago or something. And like the number of people that jumped on that, and the people that were supporting James, the back and forth and all that kind of thing. I don't want to focus too much on that. I want to focus on the broader situation, as it were, which is the question that keeps being raised time and time again, which is if someone has done something in the past that they're not proud of, or that makes them look stupid, or that is harmful, or whatever else, should they have that weighing round their neck and preventing them from moving forward, changing their circumstances, moving on, being a better person? Should that hang on to them and prevent them from doing that? Now, in regards to James Gunn and his situation, he made some pretty horrible comments. He even admits now that he was trying to be edgy, trying to be kind of just making shitty jokes, and then but he's apologized numerous times for it. He said, "Look, I was trying to be an edgy asshole, and at the time I thought I was just throwing this stuff out there, and I was just saying what I wanted and all that kind of thing. Now I realize I was being an immature asshole. I apologize. I'm sorry. I I've changed in the way that I approach things. I deal with things in a different manner, and I'm just doing the work and creating the art that I want to work with and create." And there have been lots of people that have been like, "No, you said these terrible things. You should be labeled with them for your whole life, because no one should ever say anything like this. Zero tolerance," and all that kind of thing. And then you got the people going, "Well, yeah, no, you've apologized it for a good number of times, and you've been doing good work and conducting yourself in a better way since. So yeah, sure, fine. Well, there's no reason for this to have happened." And then there have been the people who have been comparing him to people like, say, Johnny Depp, where it's like, this man has been had made some crappy jokes that fell flat and that weren't very funny and were quite offensive, quite nasty in some regards. But they weren't actually hurting anyone. They weren't going anywhere. They weren't kicking in someone's door or bashing someone over the head. But then you've got Johnny Depp, who's gone and been, kind of wrapped up in him being not the nicest person and quite abusive to certain people close to him at various times. So it's and yet he's still employed, and it's a tough one. Now, in my thinking, you need to be allowed to leave your past behind you. Like if you've done something absolutely terrible, if you've actually gone and committed crimes, if you've gone and hurt people, then you need to be punished for it. Sure, that's what our legal system is for, including in the States. But just being an asshole isn't something that's against the law, and it shouldn't ever be against the law. Being violent, being malicious, harassing, and jeopardizing people, sure, that's already in the law, in most countries. But in regards to just saying things that people don't like, or deliberately saying things to put people's backs up, that shouldn't be made illegal. That you should be able to label that person an asshole, and they should see the consequences of that as they become ostracized by the people around them. But it shouldn't be against the law to just be a dick. So there's that. But also, when it actually comes to the growth, how do you expect people to grow? In my case, from my experience, like I was never one that posted an awful lot on social media, but then again, I'm sure that there are people who have looked at my channel and found and decided that I am a terrible person because of some of the things that I have said, or some of the ways that I have said things. And it's a case of going, well, yeah, sure, they're allowed to think that of me. But when it comes to it, you know, can I say that 10 years down the line I won't look back and go, do you know what, I shouldn't have said that? Or when I was a kid, I went from being confident to lacking confidence, back to being way too confident, to finding the happy middle ground again. And it's like, when I was way too confident for my own good, yeah, there was a good chance that I was probably not the nicest of people all the time, because I was more willing to step over others or kind of ignore them more to service what I was doing, because I had such a sudden inflation of self-worth. But if I hadn't overshot the mark and gone into overconfidence and being a bit of an asshole, then would I then have been able to find myself back down and gone, okay, well, I've hit the low mark, being not confident at all, the high mark of being too confident and an asshole. Well, now I've got this area to examine to allow me to find that middle point in there, so that I can settle there and be happy with who I am, you know. So James Gunn, with the things that he's been saying and the apologies he's made and the things that his co-stars, the people that worked with him most closely, not co-stars, but the stars working, the cast working on Guardians with him, and stuff like that, with all of them and all of their comments, it's like, well, it seems like he has genuinely changed from the time that he made those comments. In which case, if you don't allow him to remove himself from those things, to move on past it, how can the world ever become a better place? All those people who, you know, yell and scream about wanting people to change their minds. Well, yeah, but if they at one point said a thing that you didn't like, and you're not going to let them move away from that so that they can change their mind to be what you would prefer them to be, or what makes more sense in the grand scheme of things, something I'm going to be talking about tomorrow, actually, in regards to scientific literacy. But it's like, if you don't let people move beyond that, then, you know, you're demanding things of them, but then actively stopping them from progressing. And that doesn't help anyone. So to those people who are bringing up these tweets of James Gunn in particular, and to anyone that wants to do this to other people as well, where it's like, oh, well, they said this one thing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and we're going to slap them for it. You know, it's something where you just need to have a step back for a moment and go, are these still relevant? I'd say that, for instance, the Donald Trump comments that he made about grabbing people by the pussy and all of that kind of stuff from way back when, I would say there's still some relevance to those comments because of the other comments that he makes that are fairly similar vein, you know, similarly negative, toxic, impositional, self-aggrandizing. I'd say that there's a pattern there. There's no apology for those things or anything like that. It's just that's just who he is and what he says. That's something that may, as a result of it being a pattern of continuous behaviour, yeah, let's you know, bring that up as part of the discussion and go, well, you're now in this position of power. You've said these things in the past, and you've made, and this seems to be a continuous process of you continuing to big yourself up by putting other people down. What the hell? You're the so-called leader of the free world. How on earth do you expect people to really feel that you're worth that position if you say and do things like this? You know, that those are legitimate questions. But when it comes to, oh, well, this director made comments that were unsavoury 10 years ago and has since apologised for them on at least 2 occasions from what I could find. You know, it's a case of going, well, he's already apologised, he's already changed, we can see the break in the pattern of behaviour. Shouldn't we allow that growth of a person? You know, there's a difference between criticising a continuous chain of behaviours that aren't good, and kind of bashing someone with old behaviours when they aren't that person anymore. People do change, people do grow. There are a lot of things that it takes an awful lot of effort, time, practice, and everything for people to change and to grow out of. But in many instances, it's a case of they'll go through an experience, they'll join a new job, they'll have a different group of people around them, and as a result, they will be able to grow and change and adapt as part of it. We are, by virtue of being living creatures, highly adaptable. It's kind of the thing that got us to the top of our current food chain and engaged with the things that we're able to engage with now as a species. So, if you don't let people adapt by themselves, individually, then eventually everyone stops adapting, and the society that we're living in starts to stagnate, begins to crumble, and we collapse as a people. Let's not do that. Let's allow people their personal, individual growth so that we can all grow. That's my thoughts anyway. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. I know that other commentators and other people have voiced thoughts on this, and they've shared their experiences the same way that I just did with mine, to one extent or another in these ways. But it's like, just because there's maybe some written evidence online for these particular things from 10 years ago compared to, say, me, where there's no evidence of me being that overconfident asshole, really, because I've never really cared to post those kind of things on social media, and a lot of it was in interpersonal kind of interactions. So, does that mean that because he's left a paper trail, he should be bashed for it more than me, who maybe... I actually, in some instances, interacted with people directly, and so probably had more impact than random tweets thrown out into the void. So, does that mean that because there's no paper trail, there's no evidence of what I did, and the things that I said, and the things that the people that I interacted with, does that mean that he should be bashed and I shouldn't? Or we both should be? Or in fact we both shouldn't be? I'd say we both shouldn't be, because I'm not that person anymore, and he doesn't seem to be the person that he was when he made those comments in the first place. So, people change, people grow, and they need to be allowed to do that. But anyway, as said, I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Which side of this do you land on? Are you appreciative of the nuances of people? Or do you feel like there shouldn't be a way to escape your past? I feel like if you're on the latter side there, then maybe you're a little too unforgiving. But, I'd still like to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I will see you in the video later. Take care.